Heyo, welcome in to CHGO White Sox, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome into Studio B. First time we've been here in a long time. In the West Loop of Chicago in our CHGO offices. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. With me in Studio B is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader and the man in the box behind a baseball field, or with a baseball field behind him.
Lane Staley.
What?
Oh, sorry, never mind. Go ahead.
Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. And you can also check out all of his writings from the past week or so. I think it's been a little bit longer than a week. But out in Glendale, Arizona, Vinny's been a content machine. Tons of articles coming out on the daily earlier today about Eloy in the outfield. I did go back to the point where you yesterday said I took off my hat and looked disgusted. I definitely overreacted. So I'll say I'm not too worried about Eloy in the outfield. I think what you said is right, and I think we ended up making it a short. But basically, like, yes, it's an open competition. Yes, Eloy is a part of it. But that doesn't mean he will be the starting outfielder. But we did get some updates from Pedro on who will be playing on Saturday. Will Eloy be out in right field on Saturday?
Oh, that's a good question. We didn't ask about where Eloy will be playing, but it sounds like Eloy will be playing. We got Lance Lynn as the starting pitcher for the Sox first Cactus League game against the Padres. It'll be taking place right behind me here at Camelback Ranch. Lance Lynn will be on the mound, and Pedro said about 6 or 7 of the regulars will be in the lineup. It sounds like basically everybody except Andrew Benintendi and Elvis Andrus. So Yasmani Grandal is catching. That was confirmed. But yeah, I asked him, I think, probably a question that you'll be asking. I don't know about right now, but eventually, will be about the batting order and the way that guys are lined up. And I asked him, hey, you've had the managerial job for a few months now. You had the whole offseason to think about where you're going to put guys in the order. And he said, yeah, I've spent a ton of time, and you'll like this, poring over the data and poring over the numbers that what is let's see, I'm trying to remember the exact phrasing he used. It was something along the lines of where to put guys, where is the best position to put guys to maximize our run scoring? That's what he said. Yes. He sounded like a human or a robot pretending to be a human, pretending to be a computer. But that's what he filled us in on. So no reveal of what that batting order is, but I would imagine we will learn a lot on Saturday about the way Pedro kind of wants to line things up. The main thing to remember, too, early in these early Cactus League games, you got 4 guys going to the WBC. Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada, Luis Robert Jr., and Eloy Jimenez are all going to be playing in the World Baseball Classic. That means their time playing for the White Sox in Cactus League is very limited, and so you should expect to see them quite a bit before they have to take off for their respective camps for their national teams.
So I just want to figure out, obviously left field will be open with Benintendi, second base will be open with Andrus. You said Grandal will be catching. We assume with the World Baseball Classic that Moncada will play third, Anderson at short, Robert in center. Seems like Vaughn at first, Eloy probably then either DH or left field. And does that mean right field's Oscar Colas? Has that been addressed?
We'll find out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Obviously, you've got Gavin Sheets to consider in that mix as well. With second base not being occupied by Elvis Andrus, I would imagine you'll see either Romy Gonzalez or Larry Garcia maybe. So we'll see. Right? It's spring training too, so there are a lot of games where you see 5 starters and 4 guys who are going to make the AAA team. So these lineups tend to sometimes not be very reflective of what you'll see during the regular season, but it sounds like at least on Saturday, you could see a lineup that is pretty much what the lineup might be, with a couple exceptions.
I'm thinking, too, the Padres are probably going to do the same thing. They have a bunch of people going to the WBC themselves with their dynamic lineup. So you're going to see exactly like some good baseball after having a dearth of baseball for months. You're going to be thrown into some real baseball early on Saturday. So I'm waiting for I cannot wait for this exhibition game. And then after like 3 innings, be like, all right, that's enough. This is not a real, baseball.
I was going to say, remember, Herb, you say, ooh, we're going to get real baseball. Well, you're not really going to get real baseball. You're going to get kind of halfway to real baseball. But hey, it will be baseball players playing a baseball game. So there you go.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch. I'm excited for it. It's back. I mean, I'm not going to complain whether it's real, whether it's fake, whether it's college, whether it's major leagues.
No.
It's back, baby. It's boys throwing the ball that might be 11.3 kilograms or 13.5 kilograms, or it might be the Yankees' perfect balls. We don't know, but hey, it's baseball nonetheless. What else has Pedro had to say today, leading up to his first game on Saturday? Any nerves he's feeling? I mean, he seems pretty cool, calm, and collected, and that seems like the largest takeaway from most people is that Pedro seems ready for this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I think the one word that I'm going to come away with from spring training to describe Pedro Grifol is serious. I don't mean that as an insult. I think he's presented himself that way. And listen, this is a guy who has been waiting many, many years for his chance to do this, right? To be a major league manager, finally got his dream job. He's not going to squander that opportunity, and he's not going to waste that at all. So he has been very serious on a daily basis, talking to us about the things he liked from guys who, some of them we've never even heard of before. But he's walking around and looking at it, basically everybody in this big league camp, whether they're major leaguers, minor leaguers, and he's got a good eye on all of them. So he's taking this seriously, no doubt about it. It was funny. He walked by us, a couple of reporters earlier today. I haven't described what the weather was today, but it was cold. It was not very nice out here in Arizona for Arizona standards. And somebody asked him, "Oh, what's with the weather? You like this weather?" or something like that. And he instantly went into serious question answering mode and was like, "Well, I don't like the weather, but I do like the work that we're getting done today." And it was just like, "Oh, okay." So you're always in that mode, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It could certainly serve him and this White Sox team very well.
Saw that
all business.
Yeah. Saw that video you posted, Vinny, earlier in the day with Eloy taking Lucas Giolito deep tanking shot. I mean, I'm just excited about the guy's future. And this year, it looks like the slim Eloy hasn't lost any power, because you posted a video yesterday with him and Robert hitting. I literally couldn't tell them apart because they both have bright kind of orangish pink shoes or reddish pink shoes. And I was like, which one is which? And then I saw Eloy's little cocked foot. I was like, okay, that's Eloy. Yeah. So it's good to see that he's very slim, but also the power's still there.
Now, juniors.
Both got the earring too. The earring too this year.
Both ears or just one?
I think each of them just have one ear. Okay. I think it's the right ear, actually. But Eloy's. We talked to him yesterday, so I remember seeing it. It's a sparkly cross.
Well, if you ask him, if you see him, ask him why the right ear, and then if it's a good enough reason, maybe we'll all get right ear earrings to match the cool outfielders.
Because he crossed.
I will not be doing that.
Waters.
Oh, okay, all right. Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
No, that's what they do. I think Pirates got them back in the day when they crossed a certain level. It's like, oh, you get an earring. Yarr. Hey. No scurvy for you.
Maybe Eloy and Luis have become Pirates. Maybe that was their big offseason change.
I hope not, because then they won't play for the White Sox, and why are we wasting time on them? Vince Velasquez, hey, he's now a Pirate, and was a former White Sox. Anyways, so we're talking about Eloy here. Oh, can you? So go talk about that video. Could you pull it up, Steven? Because I just want to actually talk about the slimness. Steven hasn't seen how slim Eloy looks. It is Vinny's video too, so we can use it. Vinny, do we have your permission to use the video?
Yeah, you have express written consent.
Awesome. All right, cool.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, so he'll be pulling it up. Just go to twitter.com/Vinnie Duber. You don't have to sign in. I don't know what you make of the slimness. I just keep seeing it, and like you said, like he kind of looks like Luis Robert. I don't know if that's super accurate here, Vinny, but he does look lighter, thinner.
Luis is a big, strong, muscular man, and Eloy is a big, strong guy too. But Luis Robert, looks like if you were to kind of draw a superhero, you'd have to draw the muscles underneath the spandex. Eloy's just a big person, and so he's got a lot of power to go along with that huge frame that he's got.
And here it is, like.
I'm not getting it.
smashed
Anyways,
yet? Okay.
check out Vinny on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. It's just he looks very thin, and maybe it will help him in the outfield be a little quicker. But even then, we did see him be very quick when he first came up. He was still about like 60th percentile in Major League Baseball with sprint speed. So we might see a faster, lighter Eloy, and that might be a lot of fun to see because he does seem like a pretty decent athlete in his own right. Let's get into some things that we learned here from spring training. Vinny, you had the 10 things that you wanted to learn at spring training, and let's start off with Pedro Grifol because you already talked about his seriousness. But your first question before you went over was, what have they been working on? I've heard from even Ryan McGuffey that it seems like a lot of basic drills. We saw your video of the I Got It drill. I think Chuck posted some catcher drills as well. Has it been kind of a return to the basics for Pedro Grifol?
Oh, that is just the narrative, I think, guys. This is spring training, and they do all this every year. You know what I mean? I know everybody saw. Listen, there's no doubt last year they struggled with that during the season, but I think a lot of people want to just continue to pile on Tony La Russa and be like, well, they were so bad with the fundamentals last year that Tony La Russa must have never taught them how to do any of this stuff. No, obviously they were doing these same drills last year, but I will say this. Pedro Grifol has been extremely focused on that stuff. And he's talked, I mean, there were the first multiple days of spring training. Every time he came to talk to us, he would talk about how much he was enjoying pitchers fielding practice and how intense the pitchers fielding practice was going and how happy he was about that. So, I mean, listen, is there a higher level of emphasis than ever before? Hard to say. Is there emphasis? Absolutely. And so I think if that's what you want to take away from that, you certainly can. I was more interested in what that offseason work was. You know, how did we get from point A at the end of last year to point B at the start of camp this year? And it was a bunch of the same stuff that we heard during the offseason. You know, the guys who were down in Florida were able to work with the coaching staff members that lived down there. We heard about Ethan Katz kind of touring the country and checking out his different pitchers all over the place. But I think a lot of that work takes place here in Arizona as well, and I think that we're seeing it. We're seeing it in action. It's something, you know, Pedro emphasizes throughout his conversations, be they before spring or during spring. Hey, it used to be guys showed up to spring training to get in shape. Now they have to show up to spring training already in shape. It looks like most of these guys had been working throughout the offseason. And I think, you know, you can point to somebody who's going to be in the World Baseball Classic, somebody like Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn looks like he could start a regular season game tomorrow. I mean, he's obviously ready to go. He's obviously worked a little bit ahead because he's going to be participating in the WBC. And I think a lot of the pitchers look that way. We've obviously heard about Michael Kopech and some of the physical stuff that he had to deal with over the offseason. But, you know, Lucas Giolito, say what you will about what you think you saw in a Twitter video, but, you know, he's a guy from a physical standpoint really seems ready to go. And I think Lance Lynn is kind of the ultimate of that right now. Hey, Yasmani Grandal, I think, is another guy who fits into that category as well, just because he was so intent on working throughout the entire offseason.
The White Sox sent a video about concerts the other day, and Yasmani Grandal said he saw Rihanna at the Super Bowl. Did he get a chance to go to the Super Bowl? And did you guys get a chance to talk to him as yet? Because wow, I didn't know that he had it like that. You can get to see Rihanna at the Super Bowl.
We did not talk to him about any of that, that's for sure. Perhaps somebody else did. We did not hear about that in the group session. But, I mean, guys, the football stadium's right here. I might be able to move out of the way and point the camera a certain way you'd be able to see it. It's right here. It's across the street, basically. It takes you 5 minutes to get to the stadium. So any White Sox players who are staying around Camelback Ranch would be able probably to take a pretty quick bike ride over there and attend the Super Bowl, I'd imagine, if they had the desire to do so.
He probably worked his way out over to the stadium. You know, he probably was doing lunges and sets all the way to the Arizona Stadium. Yeah, he's probably got something on his Twitter or his Instagram. I don't know. He does apparently have a vote though to wear some new gear. So if you want to go vote on that, there's a star design and then like a one with the city skyline underneath it. It's kind of cool.
For his catcher
gear?
Yeah,
for his catcher gear. So hey, I don't know if he was at the Super Bowl, but he's wearing new gear this year. We do want to get to a super chat here. Thank you, Linkfire, for the support. Vinny. And this is, I believe, a nickname. Vinny looks like Ron Swanson, back from Chicago. Duber, thank you for the fantastic reporting out there in Arizona. Yeah, I mean, this is now, your sixth spring training?
Believe it's my fifth. Let me count. 18, 19, 20. Skipped 21 because of COVID. 22, 23 is my 5th spring training. Yes.
There you go. So COVID, ruined the 6th there. But I mean, is it just kind of a same old, or are you seeing, anything new with the new manager outside of, maybe his certain personality?
Yeah, I mean, I think the differences from year to year are in the nuances, and individual guys in different physical conditions. Obviously last year we had Lucas Giolito showing up with all the muscle that he put on, and this year you can see the difference, right? Eloy Jimenez, you mentioned his weight loss earlier in the show, and I think that's the thing you see there. It's not just that. Obviously, guys have lives, guys have seasons, guys have work. You know what I mean? Obviously, we're talking about Dylan Cease in a much different light, in a much different way than we were last year. And as these guys get older, their personalities evolve as well. I mean, Tim Anderson wasn't always Tim Anderson, right? And certainly I think Dylan Cease is another person you could describe that way as, having evolved with alongside his game evolving too. So it's fun to kind of take that wide angle lens sometime and look back. And see how far guys have come. But in terms of the everyday, you're filming batting practice. You're waiting for the manager to talk. It is kind of a routine that you can kind of always jump right back into the first day you come back because hey, it's the same thing you've done before.
Yeah, my bad. I feel like, if we're going back to the article you wrote with the 10 things you want to learn, I feel like we've covered the starting pitching depth. It seems like it's Davis Martin. We wouldn't be shocked if someone is added. What was that?
Burke.
Sean Burke is a part of it. Maybe there's a minor league deal to come. Right field, it seems like Oscar Colas and Gavin Sheets can both make the opening day roster and still fight out for right field. As we've mentioned before, a slim Eloy Jimenez is in that job as well. And in the back of the bullpen, Joe Kelly said it's just going to be whoever is there ready for the moment, and we're going to take that on as it comes. And, even Liam himself said he wants to pitch in 2023. So, we might not be without Liam for long. We don't know. So that's still question marks there, and we'll know more as we get closer to opening day as Rick Hahn will address Liam Hendricks' current situation. But I think I want to get to the one about Jose Abreu. Tim Anderson kind of talked about leadership and life after Jose Abreu. Doesn't seem like that big of a deal or that, pressing of a matter.
Well, I'll talk about it in terms of the words that the guys have said. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. You're right. I think, even the guys who you would expect the guys who are closest to him, the guys you would expect to really feel this, Eloy, Yoan, Luis, have all kind of been like, it is what it is. And here we go. We'll see. I mean, all the three of those guys are still having fun. You know what I mean? They're going about their daily business the same way that they have in the past, maybe even a little, sillier than they would be in years past because they don't have Jose watching over them, trying to make sure they're all serious. But I think I'm trying to remember who it was that was. I think it was Eloy yesterday saying, Abreu is the guy who used to be loud. I think we all have kind of this image in our head of Jose Abreu as being kind of this stoic. Let's take care of business. Everything's serious. Everybody work hard all the time, kind of thing. But he joked around with them too. I mean, I think I've told the story about last year in Kansas City when we were there early in the season, and he's yelling in the background of us trying to interview Luis Robert. He had a lot of fun with these guys as well, and I think they're learning how to kind of just be there without him. I think it'll show up in the regular season, though. I think it'll maybe be a bigger deal when things start counting and the stakes are a little higher. But yeah, in terms of what they've said, it seems like, it would have been nice if he could stick around, but he's not here. So, oh well, let's keep going.
Looks like players are in great shape. They got the World Baseball Classic this year, so they're going to hit the ground running. What 7 of the players of the White Sox will do. Has Pedro talked about what's going to happen with the World Baseball Classic and the communication he has with the different managers that have his players out there? Just like, Lance Lynn will be pitching for the United States. I'm sure there's an understanding, hey, we'll be pitching Lance Lynn for 100 pitches. But has he expressed to you guys what he would want from these players during the World Baseball Classic? And is he adding communication with the managers of these teams?
Well, he was asked, how do you kind of keep up with these guys, right, while they're gone to make sure that they're still working and getting in what they need to get in, because obviously if you had eyes on them during spring training, you could just walk up to them and say X, Y, and Z. I think his answer was not super detailed. It was kind of like, yeah, we have ways of monitoring them and we'll we'll use those kind of things. So I don't know if there was maybe it's just as simple as he's sending texts to these guys and just communicating and making sure that they are getting in what they need to get in. But certainly he's talked about them playing meaningful games and playing baseball with something on the line is going to really benefit all these guys once the regular season starts. So I think that maybe the answer to your question isn't so much, do they need to watch over them like Hawks kind of thing, and more just, hey, they're going to be playing, and that's what we want. We want them to be playing at game speed and getting that sort of experience. Maybe that's something that they can't even reproduce here at their own camp. So, or during Cactus League play, I should say. So, it's probably kind of a little bit of both worlds.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We got more to ask Vinnie about spring training, what the White Sox are trying to do this offseason. A lot of people are wondering about injuries. That was one of your questions as well. Well, we'll see if the White Sox have changed up any certain processes to avoid those injuries. Also, we'll ask you a little bit about second base, but maybe not ask you about it. Maybe we'll just ask the guy who's going to play second base, because you got Elvis Andrus for a one-on-one interview. So we'll talk with Elvis Andrus a little bit later as well after this ad break. And if you are watching, please hit the thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it. I think Jimbo said we got 50 people watching and only about 10 likes. You're hanging out, just listening. Hopefully this little call to action will get you to give us a thumbs up. We really, really appreciate it. We do have to let you know about DraftKings Sportsbook, their official betting partner of CHGO and All City Network, DNVR, PHNX, all represented by the best and top-rated sportsbook in America, DraftKings Sportsbook, and they are offering NBA no-sweat same-game parlays. It's back after the NBA All-Star break. The NBA is returning tonight. Games tip off at 6 o'clock with the no sweat same game parlays. You could put down up to $10 on an NBA game, on an NBA no sweat same game parlay with 3 legs. And if your bet doesn't hit, you get $10 or up to $10 in bonus bets if your bet does not hit. Tonight, I'm taking in the Pelicans-Raptors game under 233.5 on the total, 25 plus points and assists for CJ McCollum, and over 11.5 Trey Murphy III points. I know that's going to get everybody rushing to their phones because they love Raptors and Pelicans basketball, but download the app now and make your own choices, make your own bets, and sign up with code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Also, Trey Murphy III redundant?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be Trey.
It's Trey Murphy, or whatever his real name is, Murphy the third. Because I'm the third. I'm Herb the third.
Yeah, like Trey Murphy the second makes sense.
Yeah.
It's 3 Murphy 2.
Yeah.
But 3 Murphy 3?
I didn't know about the word Trey, because I would never have gone with the name Herb as a child. Oh my God, kids are relentless.
There's a
jerks.
You ever watch Sex and the City? There's Trey McDougal.
No, I didn't ever watch Sex and the City.
You should. It's pretty good. Got to let you know about Pins and Aces. They're pretty good as well. The official golf apparel partner of CHGO. We love our Pins and Aces gear. Our guy Steven is a huge, avid golfer and gets tons of compliments on and off the course when he's rocking his Pins and Aces gear, when he's hitting the links. They're a family-owned and golf apparel business, and they make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, and even our favorite beer sleeve. It's an innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers right inside your golf bag. Hey, Goose Island, the beer sponsor of CHGO, 15 case in a 312. Lovely urban pale ale wheat, right? You can buy 2 golf sleeves, 7 in one, 7 in the other, 1 in your hand. You're going to have a good 18 holes. So check out pinsandaces.com and use code CHGO. Receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. All right, let's get into the injury question, because I think that's everyone's biggest concern. I mean, we talked about Yasmani Grandal getting healthier, even Tim Anderson going to Driveline. Part of what held him back in 2022 was a groin injury, and getting healthy and getting back his finger health as well was huge for these players. So how do the White Sox avoid those big killer injuries like Aloy in Minnesota, TA's groin, Luis Roberts' wrist injury? How do they avoid those massive kill shots to keep them above 500?
Yeah, I think the biggest answer, as I said before we left, is get good luck, right? I mean, because this is still baseball, and you can be the best team in the world at performance and strength and conditioning and injury prevention, and you can still get injured playing baseball, because that happens to so many players every single year. So obviously, there's no way that they can just eliminate all of that. But I asked Rick Hahn, what did you guys do? What are the specific things you guys did last year since last year to try and get better at this? And the answer was not terribly specific, but it sounded like it had a lot of prongs to it. So I'll put it this way. the White Sox took it seriously. The White Sox, looked at every avenue that they could. They're using different technology. They did make some additions to the staff. They're, doing different exercises, that kind of thing. Like I am not well versed enough in all of that to lay out exactly what that all means for the human body. But the White Sox did take this seriously. I think we saw Rick talk about that at the end of last year. If you remember back to the introductory press conference with Pedro Grifol, where Pedro was asked that question and then leaned over to Rick and say, hey, are we ready to talk about this yet? And it didn't seem like it was ready quite to be rolled out yet from Rick. So he did, talk about some of the areas that they attacked here at the end of or at the start of spring training. I can provide that full answer. I could go look it up on my phone and provide that full answer after the show for those who are interested. But you do get the impression that they took things seriously, that they are doing things slightly differently, and that they're trying to improve an area where obviously a huge deal for them the last couple of years, but also too, you can only improve so much in, because there is just that bad luck that's going to strike some team or every team in some fashion throughout the course of a baseball season.
Well, I want to bring this up. This is from, I think it's Scout Report Girl. Scout Report Girl. If you want to bring up this map, Steven, this is all from Baseball Savant. It's miles 2023 miles traveled by team and how the MLB schedule will impact this. As we know, all 30 teams will play each other. The White Sox have the third least amount of miles traveled. So if we're talking about rest, if we're talking about recovery, the White Sox might be one of the teams that will be able to take advantage. And it's literally just because they're in the middle of the country. You look at the Athletics, because they're so far away from everything. The Mariners being on the West Coast, same with even the Yankees at 14 being on the East Coast. Those teams are going to have to travel 30,000 plus miles in 2023. The White Sox 27,672. So I do think that part of all of this is going to be helped by them having a little less impactful schedule. I don't know if I'm really looking into this too much, but also, isn't this just going to benefit them massively from here on out? Because 2024 won't look too different. All the teams are going to stay in the same spots outside of Vegas. So there might be one in Nashville. It seems like the White Sox with this 30-game schedule, something I never thought about, was they're going to gain a lot of rest and relaxation over other teams.
They have most of the things pointing positively in their direction. Bounce back year for a lot of the players in 2023. That miles not traveled that other teams will be traveling. And you saw around there, the other central teams are close to them, of course, because they're all centrally located. But they have all the things this year for a successful season, like the bounce back years, the health, the miles traveled. So there's no excuses this year. I think the White Sox will play well this year. I might have been down on the offseason, but I think, and we'll have our predictions for the season a little bit later, close to regular season. But I think the White Sox can win this division. Maybe not 90 wins, but 86, 87 wins this year, especially because they're playing all the teams. And we saw the record versus the AL Central not sparkling. Against teams who are really good, like the Yankees, other teams in the league, they were really good. They were over 500 against versus these really good teams. So I like that the White Sox have a favorable schedule, a favorable health situation, new manager that's really serious about spring training. All these things are pointing the arrow up, not the guaranteed rate down. It's going up.
Hey, all I'll say about that graphic, Sean, is remember this. Your reigning World Series champions and the team that's been to the World Series like basically every year for the last, half decade or so, played in Houston, Texas, which is all the way on the east side of Texas, in the same division with the teams in Seattle and Oakland and Los Angeles. I would imagine they were racking up a hell of a lot of miles over the past, ever since they've joined the AL West, and it didn't seem to slow them down too much. So, listen, certainly a plus that you don't have to fly all over the country a million times. But if you're the White Sox, that central location can't hurt. But doesn't necessarily correlate with wins, I would imagine.
But I think this year they're going to get fewer miles because of fewer games versus AL West teams. So they're 21st in this ranking that Sean put up there. Still traveling a bunch of miles, like they got to travel out to Oakland, Seattle, and LA. So, but this year they might get benefited by not having to do out there 3 times instead of just 2 times this year. But yeah, I think
so they'll win. So they'll win 130 games.
Fresh, good, and like, oh, we lost the pitcher. We're good. Who cares? Who? Justin Verlander? Nonsense.
Honestly, I mean, it seems how they're acting, and I don't blame them.
I mean, the White Sox are kind of acting like that with Jose Abreu, and that's probably what champions and winners do. They like, I see it. Appreciate your time, Jose, but time for 2023. Jose's not with us anymore. He chose to leave, and we're moving forward with him. We appreciate his time, but hey, we got somebody who can replace him, as Sean would say. Andrew Vaughn and Eloy Jimenez.
Well, and I do just want to say, too, like the White Sox, you look at in 2021 to the miles traveled. I just want to look at this. In 2021, 23,000 miles. They had the least miles traveled in 2021, 193 games. Last year, 30,000 miles. We saw more injuries. So I don't know. You see about 7,000 more miles traveled, about 6,000 more miles traveled between 2021 and 2022. You'll see a little less, about 4,000 less. I don't know if it will help, but I just think it's interesting to, I mean, there's no correlation. I don't have any stats to correlate these to mean wins, but maybe it could be helpful. What will be helpful is Elvis Andrus at second base. You asked who will play second base. Can you say, maybe this is the easiest answer for all the podcasts, is it Elvis Andrus for the 2023 White Sox?
Yes.
There you go. You talked to him today. Thought it was great. I also like how Elvis Andrus has a specific driveway at Camelback Ranch. Seems like he has been only interviewed in that spot.
Oh, really? I didn't see any other video interviews of him there, but yeah,
I just meant
more
the press pool that you sent when he got signed. That's where you guys talked to him. The pool did.
When we talked to Elvis when he got signed, did we talk to him out there? No, we talked.
The first day.
No, we talked to him behind. No, we talked to him behind. We talked to him on the other side of the building.
All right.
Yeah,
it looks
so
similar.
they're both around the building, though. Sure, there you go.
Is he allowed in the building?
Yes.
Okay, good. So why don't we jump to Vinny's chat with Elvis Andrus? It's about 9 minutes and 30 seconds here. We'll come back and then chat with Vinny about Elvis Andrus. And I guess I did mistakenly say that we had Elvis Presley on the podcast. He's unfortunately passed, has been passed for a while. But Elvis Andrus.
Did people come in? Is that why the 50 people are here?
Yeah, probably.
To watch Elvis? I'm thinking a couple more would be here if we have Elvis Presley. He's been dead, since 77? Yeah. He's been dead more than I've been alive.
Yeah, that'd be breaking news if he was here. But we got Elvis Andrus, and very excited to hear his chat with Vinny. Let's roll it.
Alrighty, here with White Sox infielder Elvis Andrus. Elvis, you made it to camp signing right here when the full squad started. What's the first couple of days been camp been like for you?
It's been awesome, man. Love to be back here with the boys, and it's been a great 2-3 days. I feel that everybody's kind of getting loose, kind of getting comfortable with the routine. So I mean, it's been amazing so far.
You seem like you're having fun out there. Is that regular, or is it a reflection of kind of how you feel about this team and kind of why you wanted to come back here?
No, I'm usually like that, man. I'm always dancing, singing, trying to make everybody to, if I hate people being too quiet. I think you should be, talking and getting to know your teammates and just having fun. So whenever I see somebody who's been too quiet, trying to get on him.
What is this clubhouse like? What kind of appealed, about it last year that you really enjoyed enough to kind of come back for this season?
No, it's an amazing mix. I think we have, a lot of great veterans in the team, but we have a lot of, exciting young players. So I love it. I think from top to bottom, pitching, defensively, offensively, we got everything in the clubhouse to go out there and have a good season. So we're just gonna have fun for sure.
Yeah, I think last year you looked around and said this might be the most talented team that you've ever been a part of. Still the case? Do you still see big things for this team based on kind of how talented the guys in the room are?
Oh, 100%. I love it. That's one of the reasons that I came back. Love the squad, love the coaches. So, we just have to stay healthy and just compete. I think if we can do those two things, everything else is going to be okay.
You spent some time, obviously, in the American League facing off against these pitchers. What is it like to kind of be able to have them, on the mound for you instead of trying to get you out this time?
Yeah, man. That's not a good stuff to face. All 4 or 5 guys are, top pitchers in the league. So, yeah, really happy. And, playing defense behind them is a lot easier, too. It's a lot of weak ground balls, But, it's a thrill, coming to the ballpark, knowing that the guy's going to pitch is give you a really high percentage of winning every day. So, as an infielder, that's what you're looking for. And, just trying to complete every play and help him for sure.
You brought up defense and playing the infield. You're moving to the other side of the second base bag now. How do you think that, it's only been a couple of days, but how do you think it's going, and what kind of challenge is it to be able to switch positions at this point?
Yeah, no, I mean, so far so good. I'm just, trying to get the most work I can, repetition for me is the key. So, but I feel comfortable. I think that the last 3 years we've been doing a lot of shift, in the left side. So I was able to play a lot of second base, especially last year. So I think that kind of like easy out that transition for me. But I know that I still gotta keep working hard to make that second base very comfortable for me.
You showed up last year and provided a bit of a spark for a team that was, kind of struggling to get into a rhythm, ended up, not making the playoffs. What did you kind of see at the end of last year? What was going on in that clubhouse that kind of prevented them from reaching the potential that obviously is so high for them?
Yeah, no, I mean, probably a few things for sure, but, that's baseball, man. It's sometimes not how much talent you have, it's how you can put it together as a team. So, when I came, I think that was the only thing that I saw. I mean, there's a lot of talent here, but, when things were getting tough, like everybody started pulling, their own way instead of get together. So I think that, that's for us the biggest key, as a team, be united in those tough situations that is going to happen during the season. And I feel like we can do that. We're just going to become a better team.
What does leadership mean to a baseball team?
Well, I mean, I think everybody needs, leadership. It's not one guy, that's running the show. He has to be. There's a lot. It's like a military chain command. You got your president, then you got your general and colonel. So I feel that I've been in teams where it's like that. It's not only one guy. Everybody's doing their job. Everybody's getting accountable for everyone. It's like, no matter if you got 1 or 2 years and you see somebody doing what we're not supposed to do, calling aside. And I feel that you don't need to have 20 years in the big league to talk to your teammate like, hey man, come on, we need, we got to play hard. That's not the way we play. That's not an ABC for us. So I feel that's the most important thing for any team.
Is this team still looking for that leadership? Is that something that comes about in spring training, or do you think you walk in and there's guys here that can do it and you can add to it as well?
No, I think there are guys that are already stepping into that role. For me, it kind of coming and helping with my experience. I think I can easy out a lot of that stuff, because it's not easy. When you go and hey, now you're a leader. I think that you don't. It's not like, oh, I'm a leader. You have to earn it. And you have to respect each teammate. You have to be there for your teammates. You have to, be an example. So for me, I'd rather do that. I'd rather be that kind of example, be that type of leadership. And when you do that, they're gonna, when they see you working hard and you've been playing for for a long time, they're like, well, he's been playing for a long time. Look, how hungry it is. So I feel with example, I mean, he's a better leadership for me, and that's the one that I always try to transmit to my teammates.
Speaking of leaders, what about the leader of this team, Pedro Grifol, the new manager? What have you noticed from him in just a few days here at camp?
Yeah, no, so far so good, man. Very good communicating. I think that's always key for any manager. You have to know how to communicate with players. Right now it's easy going spring training, but when the season starts, that's when that's the hardest part. How every player, we all different. You have to learn how to communicate to each player. We all got different trigger points. So, but I mean, so far, he's a really easy person to talk, and I feel that's a really good quality for a manager to have. And I mean, everybody feel comfortable around him. He's gonna let us play. He's gonna let our talent to go out there. And I mean, he only got a few rules, but I mean, they're easy rules actually. So I mean, so far so good, and we hope we can just make the job for him a lot easier this year.
What are his rules?
Well, he's very, very big on culture and what that phrase embody. So I think that he's trying to get that Chicago White Sox pride back, and it's huge. I think every successful team does it, and like on an every daily basis. So I think that is something that the team kind of ran away a little bit last year, and it's really good. I mean, spring training is a great time to start working on that. Getting that pride back. We're here for a reason. We're a really good team, and we're gonna show you. So he's bringing all those thoughts and those mentality to the team early on, and I think that we have to keep working on it. But it's they're right on point.
You spent the offseason obviously going through free agency, as you said, for the first time in your career. So probably that was taking up some space in your mind. But what'd you do for fun? What did you do to kind of relax throughout the winter?
Oh, I got 3 kids at home, man, and they're 5, 4, and 1. So like I don't need no more fun or like trying to find fun. I'm a very family guy, and for sure it was a different situation for me going through this right now. But I think that's a great thing about having a family. Like it was easy for me to relax and just paying attention to my kids and believing that my agent was gonna get me a contract. So I trust my agent. I trust what I did last year. I know what I can bring to a team, and I just trying to put my my energy and my effort in my kids and let everything else just fall through.
Do the kids like baseball yet?
The oldest one, yes. The older one's like he started playing some t-ball before I came here. So, I'm not gonna put pressure. I know how hard this thing is. I just want him to have fun and like learn about the game, fall in love with the game, and then when he's around 12, 13, we can start working a little bit.
You've been on good teams before, winning teams before, teams that have gone far. You seem to know what it takes for a team to succeed. Do you think this team, this White Sox team, can do what it takes to succeed coming up this season?
I believe so, man. Like I said, it's very rare to have mix of talent. Like we have a lot of guys been playing a lot of years, and we have guys that are coming up and like with huge amount of talent. So and there's guys in the middle also that they want to prove, they want to prove. So I think that like this year is a very key year for. I mean, if you see it from every standpoint, having a new manager, guys, they want to improve. Guys are gonna go free agency. So I think that's always a great mix when you have all those quality things in a clubhouse. So for us, it's just to like engage, like be united, pulling, the road the same one way, one direction. And if we do that, I mean, the talent. I mean, you can be blind and listen to names and you're already like, wow, they're gonna win. So it's about believe it. I think that is big. I'm a big believer of that. I'm always positive, and I don't really care, the league or the other teams. I only care about our clubhouse and our guys, and just do our best and do everything 100%. And if we do that, we're gonna win. We know that.
All right, fantastic stuff there from Elvis Andrus. A leader, definitely a ton of experience. I thought what was most interesting, though, was the Pedro Grifol rules and the emphasis on culture. I know that it seems to be hard work, getting back to the basics, or at least, trying to figure that stuff out. I mean, how would you define Pedro Grifol and what he wants the culture to look like?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that it's been made very public, to be quite honest. I think that that's something that he likes talking about to the people that are going to be involved in it, right? I mean, we heard a little bit of it, I guess. The best glimpse we've gotten was in his introductory press conference when he talked often about the kind of things that he wants this team to do, playing hard every night and doing the little things correctly, the stuff that made White Sox fans stand up and cheer at the time, because obviously it was a visible problem during the 2022 season. He was kind of echoing the fans indirectly, in terms of what they wanted to see. He was telling them, well, hey, this is what I want to see too from this White Sox team. And so I think that's probably the best way that we can define what kind of culture and what sort of example he's looking to set here. But it's an evolving thing, and I think it's different when he's not really talking about it to us on a regular basis. Maybe we just haven't asked him the right question. Hey, what is this culture going to be like, point blank, kind of? But I think he's providing a lot of examples. I continue to fall back on how serious he's taking things, and I think he wants the guys to take things serious too. But man, you couldn't have a better spokesman than Elvis Andrus, could you?
Yeah, like I can listen to that guy talk for a while, but I think that might be one of the keys to the White Sox. That Tim was asking him about being positive. You asked him a question. He's like, I'm always positive. This is how I am. I'm smiley, happy, jumpy. And if somebody's not talking, like, hey, why are you not talking over there? I think having him in that type of attitude, along with everything else that goes with the White Sox, can lead to a positive outcome for the White Sox. Sometimes it just takes somebody in the clubhouse saying, hey, you are uber talented here. All we need to do is worry about the 26 men in here, and don't even worry about the Cleveland Guardians, Minnesota Twins, because if we play our ball, no one can mess with us. So it's good to have that type of player in the clubhouse telling and hyping up these guys, understanding like, hey, you are good. Don't even front that you're not.
Yes, but let's pump the brakes because that same Elvis Andrus also said Cleveland would crumble. And then the White Sox lost 8 straight
Yeah, but that was
games.
at the middle of the season.
No, that was right before they came and kicked their ass.
Understood, but that's what I'm saying. Having that from the beginning to set the tone so you don't miss games in April, in May, and you just like, oh, there's a long season. You have that guy saying, hey, these games count as much. We need to get our shit together, and we're talented. I know he misstepped last year, but sometimes you need to have that. You need somebody to say that in the clubhouse.
Well, what I'll say about that, Sean, is that he might have just been outlaying the only way that they were going to win the division, right?
True.
I mean, basically, if he's confident that the White Sox are going to be able to win the division, he would be able to look at the remaining schedule and say, well, here's what needs to happen. The White Sox need to beat the Guardians 4 times in a row, and then the Guardians need to continue to lose. And so I think maybe it was less of, all right, I have a prediction that the Guardians are terrible and they're going to fall apart, and more of a, well, I'm going to predict that this is going to happen because it's the only way that we're going to win the division.
Yeah. No, that's fair. What else is he going to say? That's right. I mean, we're probably going to get our ass kicked by Cleveland and we'll pack it in. Yeah, that probably wouldn't have gone over too well. A little bit worse than what Tim Anderson said to Chuck yesterday. I think that would probably got a more of a stir there. Let's go to him playing second base, though. They talked about the combo between Tim Anderson and Elvis, trying to get that down before Tim goes to the World Baseball Classic. Looking at Elvis, and when he was playing the shift, he said he was really kind of playing second base when going up against left-handers. And you look at on StatCast where the average position where he played on StatCast during the shift, literally right behind the bag. So it's basically, taking stuff on that side of the bag. I'm trying to find his specific shift numbers, but it seems like he's not too worried about the flip over.
Yeah, he's not. And I think this is kind of goes all the way back to last season, obviously, when there was still that chance maybe that he would have had to move over there if Tim would have returned before the end of the season. And, we kept wondering about it, what's going to happen. Certainly we talked to him and he said, I'd be willing to do it. I remember asking that question of Miguel Cairo. Hey, can he do this? He's never done it before. Is he able to do that? And Miguel Cairo looked at me like, what are you worried about? Like, he's a shortstop. Of course he can go play second base. And I guess we'll find out if that level of confidence was warranted. But, I've definitely had that one stick with me. No, he's not worried about it. Pedro's not worried about it. Rick Hahn's not worried about it. I think this is a veteran guy who's putting in the work. And certainly he's already taking grounders at second base and doing all that fielding stuff here today. Hey, when you come to spring training, you got 6 weeks. So, he's going to have 6 weeks of practicing this position. And then, what the fans don't see, obviously, during the regular season is these guys taking ground balls every day before games. So the practice does not stop. And Elvis Andrus seems to be somebody who's committed to that work.
And Elvis, too, in August and September, 0 outs above average. He was just pretty average when playing up the middle or shaded towards the second base bag. So on those plays, if he gives him average defense and gives him an average bat, White Sox don't need a killer at second base, and he seems like a great leader. Seems like I think someone said a steal for $3 million.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty fair.
And unlike last year, he'll be batting towards the bottom of the order this year, and so his production won't be necessarily needed. He don't need to do the guy that was last year, because I know that his shoulder's clear and he's feeling a little bit better on power, but to ask him to do what he did last year, what he had like 17 home runs and combined with the White Sox and the Oakland A's, I don't know if that's going to happen. But if he's league average at second base, I'm going to be ecstatic. Even if he's a little bit bad on defense at second base, it's a new position. And so whatever we get from Elvis Andrus, I know is going to be better than what we are going to get from Romy Gonzalez. So I'm happy they got the move done, and I'm happy that he's in camps because I know that the White Sox are just a better team with Elvis Andrus on the squad than Romy Gonzalez, because he's still on the team too, and he can do extra things. But I think Elvis is better for this contending team than Romy would be. Looking at his defensive value on Fangraphs in the past 2 years, 6.1 and 10.1. If you just take the average WAR of a second baseman, Brendan Rodgers was the closest to 2 WAR. He had a 3.5 defense. So if you are getting 6 defensive value from Elvis Andrus at second base, it's very likely that he'll easily clear an average 2 WAR season for a player
because even Brendan Rodgers hit 92 for weighted runs created plus. Elvis Andrus was at 116 with the White Sox last year. Don't think it'll be that good, but it seems motivated. Seems like a great spot for him.
Walk year again. So he needs to go and get another contract so he can experience free agency once again.
And hey, I wouldn't put it past, like, if why not with the White Sox?
Colson Montgomery, that's why not with the White Sox.
He's going to be ready in 2024. He's
Sure.
not even playing second base. No, I don't know about Colson Montgomery. I think that's a little bit of a rush. Let's bring Elvis back. I want Elvis, more comeback specials, all right?
I hope Colson Montgomery makes it a discussion next year.
We haven't even hit If I Can Dream yet. He's still got a couple songs to go through. I want to give you the DraftKings pick of the week before we get into some Tim Anderson stats and just some other spring training notes before Vinny comes back. You're going to be back from Arizona, and we're going to be very excited to see you, Vinny. Want to let you know the DraftKings pick of the week, though, is tonight in college basketball. Penn State on the money line. I got them last night at plus 110. I got them earlier this afternoon at plus 120. Right now it's at plus 125. The value keeps going up, 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 and up. Take Penn State. In the last 14 games, Ohio State is 1-13 against the spread. It's not good. Penn State is. I will take that one all day, every day. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. New customers can bet $5 on the money line of a game, and if your team wins, you get up to $200 in bonus bets instantly. See show notes for more details. Let's get into final notes, news. What else stood out from spring training, Vinny? We've touched upon Eloy, Lucas, Pedro Grifol, Yasmani, Tim. Anything else that needs to be cleared up before we come back?
Yeah, well, I think one guy we haven't talked too much about so far is Andrew Vaughn. And, we had a brief group session with him a few days ago. He's a guy who admitted again to kind of running out of gas at the end of last year. It was a conversation throughout the season about his legs and what running around the outfield, might have had an impact on that. I think he was fine doing that. He's a guy who's like, all right, put me wherever you want me kind of thing. But, for 2 years in a row now, the storyline has been at the end of the season, he is kind of struggling to get to the end, to get to the finish line there. So I think he thinks that, playing first base can help, but I think it's more of a learning thing, learning how to get your body through a 162 game season. He kept saying last spring, hey, that was the first time I did that in 2021. He said again this spring, hey, that was only the second time I did that. So, it is a process for him in kind of getting his body ready to make it all the way through. I think that the White Sox think that playing first base and not playing the outfield is going to be a big help in that. So Pedro Grifol was asked about him today and said that he's been really impressed with him, not just offensively, but defensively as well at first base.
Did he speak about him doing anything in the offseason to not hit the wall? I know that playing the outfield was the cause mostly of that, but did he speak about a training regimen that he went through in this offseason to make sure he can make it through 162 all fresh?
Tried to get him a little more detailed on that, but he basically said, hey, endurance, you got to work on that endurance and, working on cardio and weights. I mean, that's just working out. Right. But I think he didn't need in his mind to go into too much detail because, hey, the more you do of that, the better that you can set yourself up to endure a 162 game season. So obviously we'll be watching that, not really out of the box, but once we get down to August and September, we'll be seeing if Andrew Vaughn has, made a change to kind of avoid that thing or really just learned from what he experienced in his first 2 seasons as a major leaguer.
Yeah, I honestly think just he was giving it his all out there. I just don't think the tank is that big enough to play the outfield. Again, some people are short sprinters. Some people aren't long distance guys. I don't know if that was a lot of explosive athleticness ability. He's a first baseman. You don't need to be super athletic and springy to play that position. And I don't know if that's just his type of athleticism. But we'll see if we hear more from Andrew about that specific topic later on in the date. But I'm excited for him. Again, there's a lot of players I'm excited about. Andrew's one of them. There was also a question, too, that you had about Benintendi. I feel like we haven't talked much about him. $75 million man. I don't even think we've heard from him, at least if he's had a pool session or not. You, I think, asked, will he be a tone setter for the White Sox? Have you gotten any sort of vibe from that?
I think again that's going to be something that we'll see once games start getting played. I think Pedro, the way he laid it out when we talked back in January, was, hey, this is a guy who just does everything the way you want it to be done. And if the rest of the team sees that, that's a thing that they can build off of. I think Andrew has the experience of knowing what Pedro wants to see, right, and knowing what being a Pedro Grifol player means. Where obviously all these other guys are getting it, most of them for the first time. I think Benintendi is a very quiet dude. In fact, I talked to a teammate of his the other day who said, he's one of those guys who maybe you wouldn't even notice was in the room if you weren't looking for him, just because he kind of really keeps to himself and isn't very loud. So, if you're looking for Benintendi to replace Jose Abreu in the being loud department, as Eloy Jimenez was talking about, he's not going to be that guy. But once the games get going, what he can do on the field can make a lot of noise, to make the obvious cliche joke there. I think, he is a guy that maybe takes the extra base or, God forbid, lays down a bunt when you need to lay down a bunt, plays good defense out in the outfield, hits the cutoff man, that kind of stuff. I think, so when I'm talking about tone setter, I don't necessarily mean, hey, he's going to step in here and be the leader of this team. It's going to be Andrew Benintendi's team now. No, I don't think that's going to be the case. But I think he can be a guy who does everything right on the field, and that can, other guys can feed off of that.
And we got a super chat from Baseball Toss.
I got this info if you want it. Okay. From DodgerBlue.com, you can watch all of spring training games on MLB.com. TV, NBC Sports Chicago will have the game on Saturday. ESPN Radio will have the game on Saturday. And then there'll also be opponent broadcasts on the Sunday game. Monday, NBC Sports Chicago will have it. Wednesday, the Guardians Radio Network will have it. So I think there's in total 5 or 6 games NBC Sports Chicago will be broadcasting this year. So if you have MLB TV, though, you'll be able to watch it. 6 from Vinny's hand count there.
And there's another, sometimes they just do WhiteSox.com. They just do broadcasts that way. I used to do it with Rich King, but no, not anymore, Vinny?
Not this year. Nope. There'll be the 6 games on. The 6 games on TV will be the only ones. I think there's a total of 11, maybe. I don't want to say the wrong number, but there's a total number of games on the radio too that you can listen to on ESPN 1000.
10.
10. There you go. So 10 of those. They're not all the same. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So go ahead and get to the White Sox webpage, and they'll have that schedule for you of which games are on the radio. You can listen to Len and DJ.
Wonderful. Final thing I wanted to get to was Tim Anderson. We talked a little bit about his groin injury. There was an athletic article from James. He got a quote from Joe McEwing, and Tim just kind of talked about his groin injury being the real reason he was held back when he came back in June, and then obviously he left in August with his finger issue and then never returned in the 2022 season. But Super Joe, back in July, told James he went through a stretch where he came back trying to pull the ball because he couldn't get into his legs. He was getting hits, but he knew he wasn't himself. He was still grinding, battling through. That's what the good ones do. But I do want to just kind of see. I always like putting data to kind of those thoughts here. So this is Tim's opposite field hitting in 2022 pre-groin injury. Went to the opposite field 32.2% of the time. 45 opposite batted ball events out of 143 balls in play. An ISO of 378, 4 home runs to the opposite field, 88.2 average exit velocity, 226 feet was the average distance. Post-groin injury, Tim Anderson, 28.4% opposite field, 38 opposite batted ball events, 134 balls in play, a .026 ISO. So from 387 to .026 is a massive drop-off. Average distance of 197, average exit velocity of 87.8. Seems, Vinny, like if Tim Anderson's healthy, he will be an all-star again. I don't think we should be hitting the panic button on TA.
No, of course not. I think Tim Anderson is a guy who not only evolved into a great hitter, but evolved into a consistent hitter. I think that the way he hits, obviously guys are going to go through slumps and guys are going to get hurt and guys are going to be affected by those injuries. But I think the way that he hits, he has made that something that can be consistently successful for him and this team. I don't think it's, like it is with other guys. I think he just sees the ball, smacks it to right field, boom, and that's a hit, and he's on base and he's going. I think that's a perfect situation for a leadoff hitter, obviously, and that's before we get into all of that energy that he brings, and the way he gets the lineup going intangibly, So he's a guy that I would always count on to have a productive year. He's very much like Jose Abreu in that regard. He's a guy that I don't think is going to slip dramatically or change dramatically from one year to the next. Once he figured it out, he's been that guy, and it's been very successful. Don't fix what ain't broken.
And I like the fact that he went to Driveline, saw a problem, and he's like, you know what, these people can help me out with my swing, and we'll see the results of it. He's always in a quest to be better, and it's good that Tim Anderson is trying to be better. And, that 362 isolated power, that wasn't going to be sustainable, but it's good if you can go 378. God damn. If you can go opposite field with power, do it. Do it all the time, because it's going to – I'm Can I say things, Sean?
I'm sorry.
Please, thank you.
My bad.
If you could do that with power, I would not take that away. I know people was like, you should pull the ball more. No, that gives you a chance to look at the ball deeper. Different pitches don't fool you as much. And if Tim would concentrate on that, just say, I'm Tim Anderson. I hit the opposite way. I let balls get deep, and this is my play. I'm not going to let people take me out of my game. I'm in for it. A couple of home runs what do you get? Like 5 home runs last year? And you say that's mostly because of the injury problem, the growing problem. I mean, it is part of your core. So if you can't drive off your legs, it's going to be tough to be any type of power.
6 homers, and before the groin injury, he had 5. So yeah, five homers, and then 4 of them too were opposite field. Sorry for cutting you off. I didn't mean to be rude there. That's my bad on that.
It's all good.
Just looking for his isolated power though, since 2019. 2022 to the opposite field. Let me sort this. So in 2021, he had the highest ISO in his career going to the opposite field, 414. So 387 isn't even that crazy. I mean, he did 414 for an entire year. That was in 2021.
Tough.
2020, 324 isolated power to the opposite field. 2022, 217. 2019, 184. So, I mean, since 2020, he's been doing it pretty impressively. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Tim Anderson. And no, we haven't seen the Sox TikTok for Luis Robert. So which one is it?
Just any of the ones where he's asking about what concerts you've been to.
Oh,
who would survive a zombie apocalypse?
He had the good one with fingers for hands or toes for fingers, whatever that was. That was a pretty good answer.
Yeah, who didn't know like what it was? Was it Gavin Sheets? He was like, I don't understand this, and then he came back. He's like, oh yeah, I got it.
Oh, Romy.
Oh, Romy Gonzalez. Like, of course, I would have fingers for toes. Like, who would pick the opposite?
Seems very Floridan. It seems very Floridan of Romy Gonzalez to
and it's good
have
like
deep thoughts on the fingers for toes.
Luis, in those videos, he was talking about working on his English, and in some of those videos, he's speaking English the whole time. So it's good to have that. If he's working on that, cool. You don't need to though. Eloy or Luis Robert, if you feel comfortable more in your Spanish speaking, we'll just have to get up to speed on that. But it's good that he's working on his English.
And even in Vinny's video where he was shooting batting practice, even Luis saying, "Whoa, what the fuck?" in English was great to hear too. So we're
out here.
He's able to express himself in many different ways about the English language. But yeah, no, he seems to be Luis Robert seems to be very I don't know. He seems to be probably the most of a character, I guess. You described him as a superhero, but it just seems like, he's got the ridiculous look to him, superhero look to him, but he's pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't know when you're leaving, Vinny, but if you get a chance to see Ethan Katz, his answer on that was, I don't go to concerts. Like, how? I'm a person that doesn't like music that much or concerts that much. I go to concerts.
Davis Martin said he was uncultured and just apparently just doesn't even like music. Can we ask Davis Martin what he listens to?
I'm unfamiliar with what you're talking about, to be quite honest. But yeah, hey, these guys they live baseball, man. They don't have some of them don't have a lot of room for other stuff, and certainly a coach like Ethan Katz, it would make sense that he's all baseball all the time.
Yes, he does seem to be all baseball all the time, and a lot of these guys seem to be very baseball oriented. Pedro Grifol also seems to be very baseball oriented. It seems good though. Anyways, let's gonna do it from Vinny. What Luis said was he didn't answer the question. He just said, "I'm good with my hands. I'm good with my toes." So Luis just didn't want to play the game at all. Thank you, Vinny, for your great reporting down at spring training. We're going to have some more footage from you on Sunday. You're going to be traveling back, so safe travels when you're getting back from Arizona. We will have all of the one-on-ones posted on our YouTube channel. So we have Elvis Andrus to be posted later, Michael Kopech, Dylan Cease, Lucas Giolito, and I feel like I'm missing one. Gavin Sheets?
Gavin Sheets.
Okay, Gavin Sheets. All those are currently posted on our YouTube channel. Elvis will be posted later. All of his fantastic articles on All CHGO. Aloy is the latest write-up. You got Mike Clevenger from early at the start of spring training, the Elvis Andrus signing as well. Some fantastic stuff from Vinny. So make sure you go and check it out. Very, very detailed stuff and very, very detailed coverage at allchgo.com. Make sure, again, to follow him at Vinnie Duber. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Stephen Nicholas for producing the show, and we appreciate everyone for hanging out with us in the chat. Up to 42 likes, so hit that like button on your way out. We got the super chats right, Stephen. We're all clear. All right. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you on Sunday. And we're live on Sunday, too. So Herb and I will be live with you on Sunday at 4. Bye.